It is quarterfinal Friday in Nashville, Tennessee at the SEC Men's Basketball Tournament. We are here breaking down the early session of games, day 3 at the SEC Tournament as Auburn takes down Ole Miss and Tennessee takes down Texas. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He is lead basketball analyst Dave Shumate. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $150 in bonus bets today. Once again, it is quarterfinal Friday at the SEC Tournament in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're breaking down the first 2 games, the early session, the late session, obviously upcoming with the last 2, which we will discuss later tonight. But these first 2 games, the Auburn Tigers get going in action. They take down Ole Miss by a final score of 62-57. And the Tennessee Volunteers, in a game that just wrapped up, they beat the Texas Longhorns as well as they get action going underway in Nashville. Once again, guys, I am Chris Phillips. Joining me once again, as he always does, my good friend and lead basketball analyst at SEC Unfiltered, Dave Shumate. Dave, what's going on, man? I appreciate you taking the time. Excited to break down another exciting early session here at the SEC Tournament. Another pair of games that it felt like really delivered.
Yeah, probably not the slate we got yesterday, but I mean, we're not going to match that. But again, Auburn, Ole Miss coming down to the wire. The SEC Player of the Year, I think the National Player of the Year, Janai Broome making big plays when he needed to. Give Auburn and Bruce Pearl credit. Wasn't their best overall from an eye test standpoint. But again, you beat a team who's going to be a 5 seed, 6 seed in the NCAA tournament next week, and you beat them 3 times this year, and you didn't even shoot that well. You get it to your big-time playmaker in clutch situations. And for Tennessee, impressive performance for them. Again, 83 points for Tennessee, 83 holding a team in the 70s. That's about as good as it gets for Tennessee right there. I mean, you're scoring offensively in the 80s, holding teams in the 70s. That's a recipe for success for Rick Barnes and the boys. But I thought they did a good job. I thought Texas played really well all week. I mean, I know they just got eliminated, but I think they played really well. If they would have matched that effort that we saw for 3 days since Wednesday, if they'd have matched that all year, we're not even talking about Texas being nervous going into the selection show. That team looked like an NCAA tournament team. But again, you're not just judged on what you did this week. It's a big picture resume. Tennessee, Auburn tomorrow, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome semifinal. I can only imagine what the atmosphere, if the weather holds up, will be in Nashville, Bridgestone Arena. So you're right. We kind of chalk right now from this semifinal standpoint. We'll see Alabama, Kentucky, Missouri, Florida here soon. But fired up, should be a good one. But you're right. I thought it was a good play of basketball. I think it's one of Tennessee's better performances overall. But still, I don't know. See a little higher on the Vols after that. I know Vol fans will be giving me hell for that, but I was impressed today.
Yeah, looked good offensively. Dave, I want to start with that first game. Again, Auburn 62-57. Against Ole Miss, the Tigers shoot 45% from the field, 29% from 3. Leading the way, who else? Janai Broome with 23 points, 15 rebounds in that game as well. He was fantastic for Ole Miss.
The sun rose and Janai Broome had a double-double.
Exactly. And then, of course, for Ole Miss, 38% from the field, 17% from 3. It was Padula and Davis who were tied with 12 points apiece. You then had Dia and Murray with 10 points apiece for the Rebels. Dave, for Ole Miss, obviously they were eliminated, but again, they're in the NCAA tournament. Your thoughts, I know you and I talked a little bit earlier today off air, your thoughts on what is this team going into the tournament? Do you think they're a second weekend team? Like, can they go further than that? How do you view this Rebel squad?
You see them in a couple of different bracketologists that you trust. They're a 5-6 seed line like that, which again, you'll be obviously matched up with a 12 seed or an 11 seed, depending on which one you get. I think this would be totally just like it is for a lot of teams, matchup oriented for Ole Miss. But things that would excite me is I do think, and again, he had 12 points today, but it wasn't an efficient day for Sean Padula. He's had better days. Give Auburn credit. They locked down undersized guards. But I think for Ole Miss, they do have a shot maker, big playmaker in Padula outside of today, or really this week. He didn't play great outside of making the shot yesterday, too, against Arkansas. But they have him. I think you have a guy like Matthew Morrell and Jamin Brakefield. If those guys can combine for about 20 points apiece in a night, you like Ole Miss. You got Juju Murray can go off. Dre Davis. They got pieces. You know what, CB? I think they got a top 10 coach in the sport in Chris Beard, who's won everywhere he's been. Little Rock, Texas Tech, got that foundation, that program. At Texas, he had the thing rolling before, obviously, off the court stuff. But Chris Beard, phenomenal basketball coach. They're going to have an advantage come tournament play. And he's got his right-hand man on staff this year for the first time. Mark Adams used to be the head coach at Texas Tech, defensive guru. He'll be on that stuff. Depending on the matchup, CP, do not be surprised. And fans, don't be surprised if your boy here may Sunday night, maybe Monday night when I put my final bracket out, may have the Rabs the second weekend. So that's a good question by CP. You're right. I think it's totally matchup oriented. I wouldn't be shocked either way.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what Chris Beard and Ole Miss can do, obviously, as we get rolling next weekend in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, again, you mentioned, Dave, from the eye test perspective, Auburn, some things you liked and didn't like, and Tigers get it done. But, again, it wasn't the most efficient outing of the season, that's for sure.
CB, I mean, what's your thoughts on the Auburn Tigers right now? Just take in the last week and a half by itself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're an old team. They're a veteran team. Love the physicality. I mean, Bruce Pearl, by the way, we should highlight the all-time quote of all quotes after the game. I won't repeat it, obviously, here for our I'm sure we got some kids in the audience, if you will. But, no, what Bruce Pearl, I mean, one of the best coaches in the sport, like you mentioned, you were talking about Beard. Obviously, Bruce Pearl is one of those as well. I mean, I like this Auburn team a lot. I think they are I think
they can win.
They
can win in numerous ways. They can win in a lower scoring, low 70 type performance, and they can also go play in the mid 90s with the teams who do play at a high efficiency rate from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, they can beat you in a street fight, or they can beat you finesse as well. That's the thing that makes them so dangerous. Janai Broom, obviously, again, he's the best player on the floor every single time he takes the floor. No, I mean, I think, again, Dave, this team is Final Four bust, really, truly. And it's just, I think tomorrow against Tennessee probably is going to be one of those rock fight type of contests. I'm really excited to see.
I'm glad we're getting that matchup.
Yeah, that one's going to be really, really
Dude, I'm factoring in this because there's going to be a lot. I mean, that's going to be – again, it's one session, one ticket. But like me and you're talking about, CB, I mean, if that thing – obviously, it's Auburn, Tennessee tomorrow. I mean, if it's Florida and either Alabama or Kentucky, I mean, that place is going to be rocking tomorrow for the semifinals. That Auburn-Tennessee game could be really good. I mean, that's going to be dead like 50-50 split, maybe 60-40 Tennessee fans or 55-45, maybe. I think it'll be more 50-50.
Let's see, Dave. Do we have a spread yet?
First game came down to the wire.
We do. We have Auburn. A spread for the game. Auburn, Tennessee. Right. We have a spread for the game. What do you think? I'm going to let you guess. What's the spread in that ball game? Auburn, Tennessee.
Neutral floor ball game. Came down to the wire at Tennessee. Trying to factor in some in Auburn when Tennessee 53-51. Just the definition of rock fighting, what they say now. I'm going to go Auburn -3.
Auburn -3.5.
I was right on it.
Tigers are -3.5. The over-under is set at 137.5. I kind of like that under, just looking at it just off first glance. But, no, that one's going to be fun. Again, like we mentioned, Dave, let's get into that game. You already talked about it, but Tennessee takes down Texas 83-72. Simple question. Dave Shumate, is Texas getting in the NCAA tournament?
With the information, they should, because they do have a lot of quality wins. I mean, they do have some very high-quality wins that you can't take away from them. I mean, they faltered some at times in the middle of the year, don't have any phenomenal non-conference wins. But in conference, I mean, again, they got to win against Kentucky. They got to win against Missouri. They got 2 wins against Texas A&M. They have some pretty good wins that are better. Mississippi State's a solid win. Vanderbilt, again, they beat A&M this week. They have some wins. They just can't hope there's any – like Conference USA is a conference to watch, guys, because Memphis is getting in no matter what. But if a team like UAB goes and wins that tournament, they obviously get the automatic bid. Memphis is still going to be in the tournament. That's a 2-bid league. Lenardi, again, I like Joe Lenardi. I think there's more in-depth, more knowledgeable bracketologists out there. But according to Joe Lenardi, Universal, what everybody uses, they're technically the last team in right now. So again, all it takes, CP, is UAB upsetting Memphis in the American Championship, not Conference USA, I misquoted, the American Championship, and it's I mean, that could be your bid. That could be it for you. I mean, do I think they're this week? Did they play like an NCAA tournament team? Absolutely. Not even a bubble team. They're in no conversation. But again, you're judged by your entire season. So I don't know. I think today they had to have it to feel really good. You may have a little sleepless night on Saturday night.
Are the people that say there's Texas bias, Dave? Is that going to be tested a little bit? You think?
I mean,
You think does that play in basketball? Does that play in basketball as much?
Let's call a spade a spade. I mean, it's all about the dollar. I mean, let's be honest. The Texas brand in a Dayton opening round in that for an 11 seed or something on Tuesday or Wednesday night with Trey Johnson, who's going to be a lottery pick. It is really fun to watch. Like, yeah, I could see that being a reason why. And I don't blame you if that's what you're trying to get the viewership up. Because, for those Dayton games, they want some big brand, though, one or two at one of those two nights to get viewer. People are going to watch no matter what, but that could enhance it. I mean, the Longhorn definitely is it. You add in a NBA first-round draft pick. Yeah, it's going to bring eyeballs to the television. So, I mean, if you made me bet right now, Chris, like $1 million in a briefcase right in front of me and said you had to bet this, like yes or no, they get in, I'd say, yeah, I would go if you made me bet it. Yes. I don't feel good, though.
Yeah, I would say Texas gets in as well, Dave. I think to your point, though, it's going to be that's going to be – because I think – would you agree? I mean, everybody else, we know they're in. All the other 13, you feel really confident saying all those other 13. Texas is the only one we're kind of going into Sunday with uncertainty. Is that fair? I mean – everybody else is kind of what seed are you going to get?
At 13, and we'll see if 14 out of the 16, which is nuts to say.
Which the crazy part is, by the way, the record for a conference is 11. So that's going to be shattered no matter what. It's just whether 13 or is Texas going to be that 14th team. Again, in this game, Tennessee, Dave shooting 50% from the field, 25% from three. Chaz Lanier leading the way with 23 points for the Vols. Zakai Ziegler with 19 points right behind him. Meshack with 13. Milicic with 12. You then look at Texas, 46% from the field, 25% from three. It actually wasn't Trey Johnson that led them in scoring. You look at Texas, Pope and Shedrick, both with 14. Trey Johnson with 11. So when it comes to this Tennessee team, again, Dave, you mentioned you're a little bit higher on them. Why? Is it really just the offensive performance, the offensive ceiling maybe raises a little bit from what you saw?
Yeah. I mean, I think if Tennessee can get to better starts in the first half offensively, they're going to be a tough out. I'm not really changing my stance on it. It's just that's what concerns me is they get into like a Sweet 16 matchup and someone's just on fire in the first half and Tennessee just can't find it. And then I would have no doubt they would make a push in the second half because their defense will get stops to allow them to do it and shots ultimately to fall. But I'm just worried a little bit like in the round of 16 because their offense can go so stagnant at times that they just get in too deep of a hole and can't dig themselves out. That is what scares me with Tennessee. And I feel like it's pretty consistent. Like we see it regularly. So in a 6-game span against quality competition, I don't know. Can they go that long without getting that stagnant on offense? I don't know. I would lean no, but it's not the first or second round. It's really that Sweet 16 and further round because at that point you're playing good teams no matter what the seed is because somebody's won 2 games at that point to get to the Sweet 16. So no, I like Tennessee complete performance. Again, if you tell Tennessee, that's a Rick Barnes dream right there. They scored in the 80s and hold someone in the low 70s. It's a textbook Tennessee dub right there in basketball. Like, I mean, that's as good as it goes right there with the style they play. And I think that style of play travels and consistency. And it's why it's Rick Barnes and finishing in the top 4 in the SEC every year.
Yeah, there's pressure on Rick Barnes, apparently.
Which is what Tennessee fans want to run him out of Knoxville, man.
Yeah, which is what makes them so fascinating to me, Dave, because, again, this is kind of a separate conversation. I think they could win the SEC tournament. It wouldn't really change some of their fans' minds from the standpoint of, like, what do they need to do? I don't know. I think there's some Vol fans that kind of just have their minds made up. They'd have to like win the national championship to finally say, well, that Rick Barnes, he ain't too bad of a coach, I guess. Like it is kind of wild.
Rick Barnes is totally going to be this. CP. They're not going to know what they had until he's gone. That's him. Yeah. That's going to be what it is. They're taking finishing top 4 in the league for granted.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think you are right. You take it for granted. You get so used to it. Like you mentioned, this is a little bit different. This is not how they normally win under Rick Barnes, and I think maybe that's frustrated some of their fan base. But again, I mean, you're finishing top 4 in the league every year. You're a staple. You're a staple of college basketball. Yeah, you're a staple of college basketball. Like Rick Barnes has done a heck of a job there. Dave, when you look at Texas, let's say they do get in. I mean, I selfishly hope they do for the Trey Johnson aspect. I want to see him go off in the tournament. Like you said, going to be a lottery pick. We need more Trey Johnson. It'll be a shame if they don't. But to your point, it is so interesting because, again, the SEC tournament's its own separate thing from the regular season. But I think I told you this 2 nights ago that, like, watching them in Nashville, you're like, how did this team go 6-12? I mean, in conference play, how did they go 6-12? It just, I don't know. I wonder. I still kind of wonder about the status of Rodney Terry, Dave. Because I think there's some. I mean, even if they make the tournament, if they don't get out of the first weekend, I think a lot of people are still going to want him.
Does it really matter? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because you're probably sitting there as Texas, like, we have a little bit higher expectations than just making the tournament. It's like he went on some Final Four run or Elite Eight run or like, no. It's like you always say all the time, CP, like the Georgia athletics administrator, not the AD, told me once you kind of have the idea, you want to get rid of your head coach, you might as well do it because rarely does that change. You named a guy one time it did.
Jim Harbaugh.
Michigan was one. That's a good one. But rarely do you see a guy, once they get on the hot seat, they can kind of tippy-toe on and off it to stay cool. Then at some point, the heat just gets you, baby.
Mm. So, Dave, as we now know, it'll be Auburn and Tennessee tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Central on ESPN. That is going to be an absolute barn burner, no pun intended. Going to be a lot of fun. And, guys, as we just revealed the spreads, shout out our friends at FanDuel, Dave, who get them out with the quickness. They are already out. Auburn,
you said 3, right, CP?
3.5. Auburn is -3.5 against Tennessee. So it is going to be an electric game, a lot of fun. And tonight, of course, Dave, will determine the other semifinal matchup. Going to be great. We'll be breaking that down, reacting, all that good stuff later tonight. Hopefully it's not at 1:30 a.m. Eastern, but
no, we're on a better time pit. We're not on that Hoover SEC baseball tournament schedule today. We haven't had any rain delays.
Yeah, well, hey, we still got a lot of time. That's the scary part. We got a lot of time, so let's not speak too soon. But again, guys, tonight, in case you don't realize, Florida Mizzou, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. I believe that's still the scheduled start time. Bama, Kentucky, the big one tonight, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central in the nightcap. Dave and I will be live right here, same place, YouTube, Facebook, X, breaking down those games, talking about it, and we'll see who will play in that second semifinal game to set up getting into Sunday and the championship game in the SEC tournament. Guys, before we get out of here, I want to tell you about our friends. I mentioned over at FanDuel, listen, we're dropping our picks for the SEC tournament, March Madness, college baseball going on as well, but specifically bracket season. This bracket season, FanDuel is letting you make the call because right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to bet on everything from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks and even who's cutting down the net. So if you've been waiting to join, there's no better time. There's tourney action almost every day, and FanDuel has amazing bet types like spreads, totals, game props, and so much more. Again, guys, we're betting on everything. We're dropping our picks. There's been no better time to get in on the action with our friends at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/SECU and get in on the college hoops action all tourney long. Must be 21 and up and present in select states or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online room to wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel's offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Dave, before we get out of here, let's get to a couple of questions, comments, if you will. Monty says, Tennessee locked down that lottery pick, just like Liam Doyle is going to lock down Florida tonight. We got the baseball chatter even in the basketball content. Will, we appreciate Barnes, and it's any Tennessee fan that is annoyed by him is an idiot. Will, you'd be surprised.
My father-in-law is you're calling an idiot then.
You'd be surprised, Will. You'd be surprised. Amy says, terrible refs in the Ole Miss Auburn game. Dave, do you have a problem with the refs?
And the refs in college basketball in general. I mean, at the end of the game, how about the jump ball and the irrelevant play? The Tennessee-Texas game, when I think it was Weaver came over the back and they called a jump ball. I mean, it ended up being irrelevant, but it was like, dude, that's an over-the-back foul. He was on top of him, and they called a jump ball. Some of these – yeah, I don't know. It's college. It's the hardest sport to officiate. Let's call a spade, but still.
Especially in the SEC where the physicality is like through the roof now. So,
like I mentioned too, it kind of concerns you in the NCAA tournament when they get some of these
how the whistles, how they call it will be interesting. Will continues. Barnes has more 25-win seasons than every other Tennessee basketball coach.
You have to convince me, Will. Yeah, I'm waving the RB flag, baby. You don't have to be convincing me now. You need to go put that in like balls 247 or balls on 3 or something.
Yeah, it's I mean, again, when I went up to Knoxville and I went up there for that Tennessee-Kentucky game, Dave, I told you I had Tennessee lost to Kentucky, and I heard multiple folks saying Rick Barnes, his time's over, time to hang it up.
Oh man,
oh yeah,
dude, this is what it is. And also, Tennessee fans are day traders with Rick Barnes. Yeah. It's dated. It's game to game.
He's great today. He might be bad tomorrow though.
Yeah. Told you he can't beat Bruce. Told you he can't. Dude, that's my father. Dude, that would be my father-in-law. Told you he can't beat BP.
One final comment. Texas rocks. Simply put, Rodney Terry must go no matter what. I think that's going to be the thought from the fan base, Dave. I really do. I think that's going to be the thought process, and I'd be surprised if Rodney Terry's back next year. I would.
I'm with you too, dude. It is what it is at this point. Like it's like everyone knows he's a dead man walking at some point. It's like, okay, well, he made the tournament. Like, let's give him another year just because that's like, no. If you're Chris Del Conte, you need to go circle the wagons. Will Wade's probably about to get hired at NC State. You need to go get somebody. You need to go get Texas basketball should be more competitive than what we have right now. And again, they played great this week. I think they played like an NCAA tournament team. They probably should get in if you made me, but that's just not enough at Texas, and I don't think that meets the barometer. So I think you gotta make a move.
Could they sneak in and get Will Wade? Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd rather be at Texas than NC State.
Yeah, I mean, I'd call that a better job, more resources.
Way better. Yeah,
way better. Again, guys, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Like I said, we'll be live late tonight after the late session in Nashville. Really excited to break down those games, talk about them. But in the meantime, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For lead basketball analyst Dave Shumate, I'm Chris Phillips. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. And we'll chat with you all later tonight.